In this video, we're going to be talking about buying an investment grade apartment. Now, if you've been following my channel at all, you'll probably know that I'm not a huge fan of apartments unless you own the entire block. But in this case, we helped a client purchase an investment grade apartment for less than $350,000 here in the Brisbane market. So the big question is, what makes an investment grade apartment? Now, there's a couple of factors that I think make a apartment investment grade. Firstly, it's the location. The one thing you cannot change on a property is its location. And this apartment was located 10 kilometers north of Brisbane's CBD. The suburb for this specific property was called Nunda. Now, I really like Nunda because it's close towards the CBD. It has shops, main roads, a train station, lifestyle factors, and that was one of the key reasons we looked at this area. So if you're looking for an investment grade apartment, don't compromise on the location. Don't buy an apartment 20, 25, 30 kilometers from the CBD in a subpar location. Stick to those prime areas around that 5 to 15 kilometer ring from the CBD.
Now, Luke, why wouldn't we go right into the CBD and buy an apartment in Brisbane City or in South Bank?
The reason we steer clear of those apartments right in that inner CBD ring is due to the high density zoning. And all that means is that they can build massive towers and build thousands of apartments right in towards the CBD. Whereas if you go a little bit further out to that 5 to 15 kilometer ring, then generally they're medium density unit blocks. And all that means is they're not going to build massive towers in these more suburban areas where it's a mix of apartments, townhouses, and full-on houses. So we've got the location under wraps. Now what makes it more investment grade? The next thing we wanted to look at with this apartment purchase was the number of dwellings on the site. So generally when it comes to apartments, the land value is split by each apartment. Now this apartment was part of an 8-pack, which means there were 8 apartments on that one site. Now, we tend to prefer 4, 6, or 8-pack apartment blocks rather than 16 or 32 or anything more than that. The reason being is there's less tenants and owner-occupiers in that one spot or in that one location, and it means generally less body corporate because these apartments are simple. So this was a double-story brick and tile apartment block, meaning it had a very solid construction and not a lot of tenants on the site, given that it was only 8 units. Comparing this to buying in a brand new apartment block where it's a fancy building, you've got a swimming pool and a lift, you could be looking anywhere between $4,000 to $8,000 for body corporate fees each year. Whereas the body corporate on this property was around that $2,000 to $2,500. Now, they did have a sinking fund for some underpinning work that was done to the unit block, but even factoring that in, we were able to secure the property for an acceptable price. Now, let me walk you guys through this unit and show you some of the photos and some of the plans my client had for this property purchase and how you could potentially break into the market, add value by doing a bit of sweat equity and a bit of hard work, and then look to buy a townhouse or house on your next investment purchase. So this is a shot of the apartment block. You can see here that it's in a medium density residential area. There's some sporting fields over the back of the property and the city located in the horizon just about 9 or 10 kilometers away. This was in the center part of this solid unit block. You can see it's a tiled roof, brick veneer, and very neat and tidy landscape. One of the great things about this property is it didn't have those expensive amenities. It had its own garage, it had upgraded hot water, a very basic roof which had been repaired at some point, and some brick veneer, which is all very solid. And it means lower body corporate fees over time. Now, this is a shot of the actual apartment itself. It's got basic vinyl flooring here in the kitchen, a very old tired kitchen here as well, carpet throughout the house. Now, one of the great things about this apartment is the value add potential. Look at this open space. You don't have to open any walls up to get that open kitchen, living, dining scenario. And you could reconfigure the kitchen a little bit to create this space, add an island bench, still have room for a big, large double fridge, and really create an open space here. So like I said at the start, this property was purchased for under $350,000, and I'll reveal the actual price to you at the end. But comparable sales of nice renovated properties were around that $400,000 mark. So that will give you a budget of around $20,000 to $30,000 to do the renovations on this property. And if you're doing this DIY with a few tradies, that's definitely an achievable target for this smaller size apartment. So it's actually a 2-bed, 1-bath, 1-car apartment. And you can see here it's located in the middle of the block and the garage door access is just below. This is the front shot of the apartment showing you that it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 garage doors there and a balcony for each of those apartments as well. This is a shot of the master bedroom. There's a bit of flaky paint on the ceilings, a ball light or a boob light as they call it in the US, as Meet Kevin used to say when I watched his videos back in the day. And this just really needs new flooring, some paint. They're actually hiding a pink wall over here on our left, which you haven't seen. And you probably won't see because they've excluded that from the photos. And it needs some new window furnishings, which will set you back a few $100s if you use a company like DIY Blinds. So I'd do paint, flooring, some new blinds, and maybe add a ceiling fan or an aircon. This is a shot of the second bedroom. Again, very solid construction, just needs the update to paint, flooring, carpet, all very simple and straightforward. Now the bathroom is actually in quite good condition. This shower has actually been refurbished in recent times and the flooring is very solid and it's got a new vanity. The only things you would possibly change in here is upgrading the toilet, so to hide this ugly changing color here, or maybe paint the bathroom as well. And I would also upgrade this shaving cabinet, which is quite ugly. So add a large mirror, maybe a big circle mirror here, maybe paint in the bathroom and upgrade the toilet. So for say $1,000, you could upgrade the bathroom with not a lot of expense. And that was one of the big factors why we liked this apartment. So working with my client, we talked through a bunch of different opportunities, but this property really ticked all the boxes when it came to location, when it came to solid construction, when it came to reasonable body corporate fees, and the value add potential. Because from my own experience, knowing that bathrooms can be quite difficult and costly to deal with, finding a decent bathroom where you could upgrade the kitchen and spend more money there was a real win for this property. This is a reverse shot of the living space and the balcony. Again, you might want to add a small aircon on the balcony here and have one in the master and one in the living space. But otherwise, you just need to get rid of these old curtains, give it a repaint, and maybe change the fan or a light here or there. This gives you a real good view of the kitchen. Now, I would actually gut this kitchen completely, add in a range hood and an air vent or an air vent, and potentially add in an island if you could make it work in the space. If you didn't decide to add it in an island, you would make this feel very open, but an island would also work if you had it horizontal this way. This is a little view from that balcony. So it's a very solid concrete construction, just some basic metal bars out here. And there's not much I would spend out on the outside, because at this point, you're just spending the money, the 20 grand to 30 grand inside, adding value to the property and creating equity at the end of the day. And finally, a shot of the apartment and the garage below. So what did my client exactly pay for this property, and what are the rough equity numbers based on his purchase price? So my client was able to purchase this property for $340,000. And we were actually able to secure the property at an auction, and I bid on the client's behalf. So my client was local but decided not to attend the auction, and I bid at the auction on their behalf. There are a number of other bidders, around 10 to 12 other bidders, and 3 to 4 that were very keen on the property. Now, when it came to the auction, it started in the mid-high 200s, quickly worked its way to the low 300s, and I started bidding around that $325K mark. Our maximum was actually $345,000, and we ended up securing the property for $340,000. So with a budget of $20,000 to $30,000, my client was going to be all in, excluding stamp duty, of course, around that $360,000 to $370,000. Now, comparable sales in the area would say that the property would be worth around that $400,000 to $430K mark after the renovations were complete, and rent would be around that $400 to $450 per week. So given the rental return and given the equity created around $30,000 from the project undertaken in terms of the renovations, my client was going to gain $30K of equity plus boost the cash flow by around $50 to $100 per week, and have an asset they could leverage off in the future and buy other investment assets. This is exactly how Emily and I have built our entire property portfolio. We looked for properties in fantastic locations that required renovations. We then did those renovations, undertook the work, a bulk of the work ourselves, got the trades in when we needed to, when we were working with a plumber or a sparky, and occasionally a chippy if we needed them. and adding value to the property, then looking at our serviceability, refinancing, pulling out equity, and going again. One of the reasons my client really wanted to buy an apartment was the lower purchase price, the higher yield, and they were really also looking for the value add potential. And it did take a bit of time to secure this property. For the average client, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to find a purchase in our business. It can be a lot shorter than that. We've had clients buy within 48 hours, and it can be much longer than that, for around that 4 to 5 months. But it's about finding the right property for the right price in the right location. Em's even hooked me up with some merch saying the right property for the right price in the right location. So I love that slogan because that's exactly what we're about. No two properties are the same. No investor is the same. Yes, we're looking to create wealth, passive income, build a property portfolio to give us choices, but the way we get there is going to be different for everyone. We all have different saving habits. We all have different risk profiles. And so that's why we need to find the right property for the right price in the right location. And my client was absolutely stoked with this purchase. And personally, I would be too. I think this is a fantastic deal when it comes to buying an investment grade apartment. So although I have bagged apartments in the past, they're not all bad. It just comes down to securing the right property. If you're interested in working with myself as a Brisbane-based buyer's agent, we buy roughly around a 30-kilometre ring around Brisbane CBD. So head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free strategy session with myself. We'll sit down, have a chat about your situation, talk you through what we do here at Purpose Property, and discuss whether we can help you secure an asset in the Southeast Queensland market in the next 6 to 12 months. If you want to see me bidding at auction, trying to secure a flip project here in Australia, click this video over here. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.